At this point, that they're spread out, so I don't know the exact number.
Can you give us an idea quickly of the intersection we're talking about here?
Well, it all started in McFadden and Bristol. It's Bristol, so up and down Bristol Street from McFadden to Warner.
Did you have peaceful protests earlier in the day? I mean, I'm guessing you've been watching what's been going on in LA.
Absolutely.
So you had the same sort of watching. Did you have same sort of peaceful marches today that escalated into this?
No, this is our first protest. I know it's been going on for a couple of days. This was the first protest for us, and sadly, it didn't start off well.
Yeah, and we're sorry that you had a deputy injured, and hope that person is going to be just fine. Anthony Britannia, thank you so much for joining us and keeping us updated. Right. Thank you.
All right, bye-bye.
All right, goodbye. We're going to talk to Gil Levis right now. He is a news chopper for Bravo. We are following what's happening here, and it looks like we have police following some cars. Gil, what's happening?
That's right, Kathy. You're looking at that line of cars. You see the airship with the night sunlight, keeping an eye on that group of cars that's moving away from Melrose. They went north, and they're right now eastbound on, I believe it's Waring Avenue. They're trying to get units behind these vehicles because they believe they were involved in looting in the area of Poinsettia and Melrose. So they're kind of splitting off right now, but you're seeing the night sunlight of the helicopter trying to get units in to break off and come in and pull these cars over. So we've seen multiple cars leaving the area. The LAPD airship saying, yes, for sure, these guys are involved in some looting. But unfortunately, right now, it doesn't seem like there's enough units around to be able to get on those cars. Let me come out across here, and I'm hearing that there might be some police coming in this area right now. Let me zoom in here and see more and more cars. These cars should not be out. The curfew is in existence, and if they do not find anything in the vehicles, they will be arrested for breaking the curfew, we're hearing. So trying to find the units that are trying to respond here, or hearing that there might be several units that are rolling this direction. But so far, here we go. We might have a couple units here that are going to make a stop on one of the vehicles, if not several of them.
Yeah, we're seeing people in not only cars, but walking there on the street.
Oh, that's one. We were wondering how they were going to do this. They just pull in front, block the intersection, and there you go.
And there you go. So there's it looks like they have corralled about 3 of them, and they have the stop in progress. They're going to try to get those people out of the vehicles, and they're moving a couple of people that are on the sidewalk here, getting them out of here while they try to deal with at least these 3 vehicles that were last seen coming from Melrose northbound and then east on Waring here.
And Gil, you said if there's nothing in the car, if they have not been looting, then the infraction or the citation here is breaking curfew. If the car is full of stolen merchandise, that's a whole different ballgame.
It is a different ballgame. We're going to look at this white car here, and interestingly enough, there was multiple white cars that were leaving the area. I don't know if that has anything to do with what was going on, but we did see multiple white vehicles leaving the scene. You see these guys with their hands out the window. Looks like a driver and a passenger, and they're going to order them out of the vehicle. So it's going to be just like a pursuit termination. They're going to order them out of the vehicle, and then they'll be able to get them into custody and check the vehicles for any merchandise, because these cars were last seen leaving the area of Melrose and Poinsettia, where the officers were just responding to calls of looting.
Well, Gil, it is just like the end of a pursuit, except in this case, are we only seeing 2 patrol cars there? We have 3 civilian cars?
Yeah, let me come out wider. You got the one in the back and then the one in the front, and you have a couple it looks like multiple officers now on scene. Here comes another unit, an unmarked unit that's coming on scene. So they have these 3 cars stopped, and we'll see what they find when they pull these guys out of the car eventually. But for now, they're staying in their cars. These guys at least are complying with their hands out the window.
Okay, Gil, we're going to stay on your picture. I'm going to tell you, we're also monitoring News Chopper 4 Alpha in the downtown area. It looks like they brought in tow trucks there to tow people out of the area. We'll get to that in just a minute. But in the meantime, we want to bring in Mr. Jody Armour. He's a USC professor of law, an advocate for social justice, and we've spoken to you several times today already, Jody. But when you see all of what's going on tonight, do you worry that people will lose sight of the real message here about George Floyd?
Yeah, that is the concern, and we had this same concern going back to the '92 riots after the Rodney King case, when the officers who were videotaped batoning him were acquitted by the Simi Valley jury. There was this effort for us to try to figure out what was happening and why was it happening. Many people looked at it and they said, oh, these are just hooligans. They are looking for any excuse to go off, and that's all that the riots represented. Other people said, well, no, wait, if they were just hooligans looking for any excuse to go off, then when the Rodney King beating was saturating the airwaves, they could have gone off. But instead, they waited for justice. They waited for the promise of the criminal justice system to deliver justice to the officers, and then rioting only broke out when that promise of justice seemed to many to be so flagrantly flouted by the acquittal of the officers. So, yes, I do have a concern here that this will affect how we're going to interpret this civil unrest. If our diagnosis of the problem is that we just have some hooligans and some professional anarchists, as some people are describing them, then right? On the other hand, if you see the problem as one of, social justice, social inequality, redistributing wealth and power, then we're going to seek radically new political and economic solutions. So, yeah, we're going to be, for the next several days or weeks, really be trying to figure out what it is that is happening here and how to think about it, its causes, how to properly interpret it, so we know what the right diagnosis is and can come up with the right prescription.
And Jody, what is the answer then? Is it dialogue between groups to understand each other, to figure out where we go next and how we understand?
Well, the sheriff earlier said something to that effect, our sheriff here in LA County, that change is not going to come from burning things. He said change is going to come from civil discussions. But, many would say change did not come from those civil discussions. We've been here before. It's kind of almost like a racial injustice Groundhog Day that we keep coming back to. We sit down and we have the discussion.
You ain't laughing. You ain't laughing.
Realizing as it is, and as disruptive as it is, sometimes these kind of violent outbreaks do get our attention at least and make us see that there's something we have to attend to that maybe we've been ignoring up until now. So I think it's going to take more than just discussion.
And what we're looking at, and we've got a split screen here, Jody. News Chopper 4 Bravo, what you're seeing there is a live picture of new looting here. You mentioned Rodney King and the riots or the unrest there in 1992. One of the most poignant things I remember covering that was when Rodney King stood up. He was very, very emotional, and he said to everyone, his message, can't we all just get along? Do you envision the Floyd family? I know they've spoken out, but do you envision the Floyd family having that sort of message as well for these groups?
Yeah, well, I think we've grown and matured. As a society, we went through that. Rodney King said, let's just try to get along. But, that's the kind of, let's have the conversation. Let's sit down and just try to work it out in that way. Approach, and it just doesn't seem that approach has been working out. The approach may have to do with really rethinking what policing is in a fundamental way, rethinking, even what we mean by social and racial justice in America. I think it's interesting we have a state of emergency that's been declared in the last hour. But people on Skid Row live in a constant state of emergency. Those in jails and for low-level offenses or because